Hi everyone. After being ghosted by our builders last year, we were adamant that we were going to get the ball rolling with the house this year, so I'm happy to say that we have. And in this video, I'm going to do an updated house tour showing everything that we've done with the house over the last 5 months. Starting with the first phase, which was strip out and removal. Now in hindsight, if we knew we were going to get ghosted, we probably wouldn't have stripped out everything as early as we did. It meant that we were living with some pretty grim decor for quite a while. There was nothing untoward in terms of what happened with the builders. It was just a case of they were really overwhelmed last year. A bit frustrating as it led us down a garden path, but there's a positive to it, which I'll explain later. After lockdown, I think we were a little bit naive as to how busy trades were going to be. It seemed like everyone across the nation was doing something to their house. But we took our time and removed everything as standard, so the carpets, the many layers of wallpaper, any blown plaster, and anything further that we ourselves could strip out of the house. So many skip trips later, we were on to the next phase, which is structural. If you're new to my channel, you may have not seen that last year we had the chimneys and roof repaired. This was a priority because whenever it rained, we were having leaks through to the second bedroom. Once we had that done, I'd really advise doing any internal structural work too. We were really lucky, and that was partly because of the planning and again, just measuring everything. But we actually ended up doing a lot of internal structural work after we had the plumbing and electrics done, which I wouldn't advise at all. Definitely do it within this sort of second phase. But the internal structural work for us consisted of having a chimney breast removed in the bathroom. We had all of the fireplaces opened up. The stack for the living room and main bedroom was absolutely fine. It was absolutely clear. However, when we opened up the chimneys in the dining room and second bedroom, they were completely full of soot. Definitely make sure you put your covers down just in case, because when we removed one brick, it was just an explosion of soot everywhere. You also may have not seen that in our bedroom when we first moved in, we had a massive wardrobe that sat in the middle of the wall. It's on the right side of the room, but as you can see, there was no depth from the door to the back of the wall to allow for the wardrobe to fit in that space. So you'd always be walking into the side of the wardrobe whenever you walked into the room. The more we thought about it and the more that we kept playing around with the layout, it was the right place for the wardrobe to be on that side of the room. So we made the decision to actually move the actual door opening in the main bedroom to allow for a wardrobe to fit in that space properly rather than it just featuring in the middle of the wall. The door opening now matches all the other door openings upstairs. It aligns quite nicely now with the landing walkway as well into the bedroom, and also in the future it means we've got that little bit more space for stairs to go up into the loft. The dining room fireplace needed a lot of TLC as well, and it needed a lot of support, so we made sure that we put a lintel in that as well. We also had to ensure that we put a lintel above the new door opening in the main bedroom. It wasn't necessarily structural, but it was part of the sort of stripping everything out and removing anything that was necessary. We had our gas meter in one of the cupboards in the alcoves. We wanted to use that for all of our TV bits and bobs, and you could also hear it sometimes, so we made the decision to rip up the floorboards there, connect everything underneath the floorboards. Obviously we didn't do this ourselves, it was by a professional, and then drilled through the side of the house so that we've got the gas meter now on the outside on our side access. It's in one of those ugly boxes, but I just closed the gate on it. That's a job for when we do the extension and the landscaping in the gardens. I'm going to group all of the windows into structural as well. So that was the next step for us. We had all of the windows replaced with new sash windows, and we also had a new composite front door. The hallway before was completely pitch black because of 2 doors that sort of created a porch and completely blocked all the light into the hallway. They're also really frustratingly temperamental, so we made the decision to completely move them, and we've just got the one door at the front now. The style that I went with is from a company called Solidor. To try and allow as much natural lighting as possible, I went with the style Edinburgh 2, which has the longer panes of glass at the front, and the glass style is called London Etch. Still gives you privacy, but then it's got a completely clear border of glass to allow that natural light to come through. And then for our number at the top, we inverted it, so the number itself is in the frosted glass, and then around it it's all clear to again allow as much light in as possible. It's completely transformed the hallway. It's so much brighter in there. And then the sash windows, which I absolutely love, we've got that in the bay in the living room, 2 of the windows in the main bedroom, and then the 1 window that we've got in the guest bedroom and the 1 in the bathroom. The supplier that we went with, they do it in sort of 3 tiers, so you can do the standard UPVC, which is just completely plain. You can then do what's like the fake wood effect, and then you've got the third option, which is like the top of the range, which you normally use for like heritage buildings, which is completely wood. We've gone with brass hardware throughout, and then there's privacy glass on the bathroom one at the bottom. I spoke about that in my bathroom renovation plans, whereby you can get different styles of privacy glass, so I definitely recommend checking that out if you don't just want the standard frosted glass. We've built back the walls in between the sash windows that would have been originally there, and then whilst we've got the windows replaced, the window sills had quite a bit of damage and a big gap where they needed to cut in to put in the window. So I've stripped all that back and filled that in, ready for painting. 2 quick tips if you are having your windows replaced is to know what style of architrave you want and how deep you want your window sills to be. Knowing what style architrave you want is good so that it matches architrave that you may have around your doors. And knowing what window sill depth you want is good for those of you who want shutters, so that you don't make your window sills too short, so that they can align nicely at the bottom with your shutters. And then we were on to the first fix of plumbing. So we had and checked all the old pipes that were running up into the loft that were boxed in. We had all of those ripped out. We then future-proofed as well by having some pipe work channeled up into the loft. So that runs through our main bedroom. And we had all that done obviously because we'd want to obviously have everything hidden, then it gets plastered over afterwards. So it means when we do go up into the loft, we shouldn't disrupt a lot of the bedrooms then. We're then having cast iron radiators throughout, so we put in all the pipe work for those. When it comes to plumbing, it's ideal to know what radiators, what size you're going to get, so that you can get all your pipe work correct. And then we just made sure that we went through all of our plans as to what we want to do in the back, so that we've got everything ready. And then we've also got everything ready for when we do the bathroom renovation, which is next. Following that, the next phase was the electrics, so we did a full house rewire. I mentioned about what was the positive to come out of waiting so long, and the positive was that we were able to really thoroughly plan everything. So I really recommend that, and I've got some tips and tricks which I'm going to put into a video next, so make sure you subscribe to see that. But I found some things that were really useful and helped us ensure that we made everything that we wanted to do possible, and that sockets are in the right places, and that we shouldn't hopefully regret anything down the line. Again, we future-proof by having electrics running up into the loft, also set up for the back for when we do the renovation, and also said about if we wanted to do anything in the garden too. We actually still stayed in the house whilst we had the rewire, not as they were doing it, but we came back and stayed here still. It is quite grim, I will say that. So if you are planning on moving out, I would actually say for the rewire in particular, it only took about 3 days. And then I would also say definitely for the plastering, which we'll get onto in a bit. A quick tip, whilst I advise, and I'll go into this in a lot more detail in my next video, whilst I advise that you don't necessarily buy everything yet, I would say have a good idea on what you want to get and know the dimensions of everything. Perfect example is our bed in the main bedroom. So the bed base is smaller than the headboard size. So in terms of the electrical planning, it was good to know that, so that our bedside sockets are in the right place. And then once we had all of the rewire done, the next phase was plastering. It's such a messy job, so I'd really highly recommend moving out for this part. So glad that we did. The in-laws kindly took us in. And I know a lot of the time the temptation is to literally go around every room and just completely take off every part of plaster that you can and go back to brick. But if you get a really good plasterer, and again I'll provide tips on how to find that in my next video, you don't necessarily have to, and that can help save you a lot of money and time. During the plastering phase, we decided to keep the curve on the top of the fireplaces in both the bedrooms, and I also really love the curved edge on the chimney breast, so we've kept that as well with the beading. So in the house we're still due to have the extension done on the back, so that'll be for the dining room going through into the kitchen, open a space there. But we're keeping the living room as a snug, so the plastering took place in the living room, the hallways and landing, and then in both the bedrooms. It makes a massive difference in terms of the space, like it just feels completely different. And then the next phase was painting. We've actually done the mist coat and then the base coat, as I'm going to use a lime wash paint in the bedrooms and the living room. But I didn't want to apply the lime wash yet, because I thought that when we do some of the joinery jobs and the flooring, if there's any scuffs, any knocks, it's a bit of a pain then trying to touch it up. So I've left it so that we've just got the mist coat and base coat, as you can see around me at the moment. And I'm glad we did, because in the next phase of flooring, you can just see there's loads of scuffs everywhere on the walls. And then for the flooring, our flooring is from Havwoods. I'll show you a lot more of it. We've currently got it protected because of the next phase of doing the painting in the hallways and landing. And there's a little bit more joinery to do. But it's another step again towards completely transforming the house, and it's starting to feel a little bit more homely now. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. And subscribe for future videos, as I'm starting to build momentum now in the house, so they'll be coming through a lot more quickly. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.